The Toyota Land Cruiser has been under fire a lot lately, like a gopher at a badger convention. But the question is it really deserving of all that hate?
Gopher at a badger convention?
It's not great, Mary. My brain is small, but my personality is large. Now look, guys, I'm not very good at this car review thing. I'm not really good at anything except getting pounded by...
Don't say getting pounded.
I'm not really good at anything except maybe getting hit by volleyballs in 6th grade and then crying to my principal about it. But someone who is really good at this car review thing is Jason Camiza at Haggerty. You see, if Jason is Nirvana, I'm more like Nickelback. If Jason is the newest iPhone, I'm like a Palm Pilot. If Jason is the latest Nike shoe, I'm like the Walmart sandal. All I do is drive around in the dirt sometimes and tow stuff. So Jason is really the expert you want to listen to. Now, Jason didn't much like this new Land Cruiser. I think it's pretty fair to say. And I do like this Land Cruiser quite a lot, actually. So let's discuss. Land Cruisers are categorized by their series number. The first one to come to the US was called the FJ25. Now, the full-size wagon-style Land Cruiser started in the US with the 55 series and then the 60 series. And Mary, what happened when they put the new engine in the 60 series? It became the...
bad one.
No, it became the 62.
Oh.
And then after the 62 came the...
63.
80. And then when they facelifted and put the better engine in the 80, it became the...
4.
Nope, the FZJ80, and then came the 100, and after the 100 came the
4.
200. Mary, come on, keep up here. Anyways, the point is that you can judge a Land Cruiser based on its series number. I'm greatly oversimplifying, but there is no FJ4, Mary. I'm sorry, that is not a real thing. 4.
Just trying to come up with the most unreasonable number next.
What you need to know is that this new Land Cruiser is called the 250 series, and this is a Land Cruiser Prado. Now, the Prado is a long line of Land Cruisers which are typically slightly lighter duty, sometimes a little bit smaller, and usually more affordable than the full-fledged Land Cruisers. Now, one of the things that really caught me off guard about that Haggerty video is when Jason said this new 250 series is actually bigger than the outgoing 200 series, which is surprising because this is a Prado. It's supposed to be slightly smaller. And I was curious, where did I get it wrong? Because I was one of the idiots that said it was smaller. Well, I went on the press launch of this car back in 2023, and from the press release, the materials I read, Toyota said that this new Land Cruiser is, quote, slightly smaller and narrower than the outgoing 200 series, making it nimbler on the trails. And then they elaborated, saying compared to the outgoing 200 series, the new Land Cruiser is 4.4 inches narrower and 1.2 inches shorter. Now, this is probably where I messed up. I don't have the ability to independently verify the length and the width. That takes some pretty specialty skills that I can't achieve with a ruler, but maybe Jason did. But his point, I think, is still valid, that size-wise, it's about the same as the outgoing 200 series, which I think is pretty interesting. Some people online, not Haggerty per se, but actually a lot of people online do put the new Land Cruiser down for not being a true Land Cruiser. This is skim milk Land Cruiser. We want the full fat version. Here's the thing though, even though yes, technically this is a Land Cruiser Prado, it is something like $30,000 less expensive starting than the outgoing 2021 Land Cruiser. That is a huge price differentiation between this new Land Cruiser and one that's been out of production now for 4 years. Not this one though. This one is too expensive. This is a first edition that comes in at nearly $77,000. And I do have to agree with most reviewers, if you are cross-shopping a $77,000 Toyota with this car's sister car, the Lexus GX, you'd be kind of crazy to go for the Toyota because the GX is a lot better in a lot of ways, especially for that kind of money. But base to base, a Land Cruiser is $58,150 after destination, and a base model Lexus GX 550 is $65,285 after destination. That's a $7,000 price difference. But if you do want to take your Prado off-road, keep in mind the new Lexus GX is also essentially the same Prado underneath. you are going to have to step up trims. Whereas you can take the base Land Cruiser off-road because it comes standard with a rear locking diff. To get a rear locker on the GX, you gotta step up to the GX Overtrail. And after destination, that version is gonna be over $73,000. The base GX also could be very capable, but with the front end, the lack of a locker, and the lack of some other important protection, you really can't take that one off-road out of the box like you could with the base Land Cruiser. The powertrain in the Land Cruiser just ain't it. The words of the famous and legendary Doug DeMuro. He also went on to say, do you want me to keep it closed, Mary? He also went on to say that this Land Cruiser feels like it has 247 horsepower. Jason said this engine feels broken and that it gives him a hand massage from 1800 to 2300 RPM because it vibrates so much.
Like a vibrator?
Mary, Jason even said the roughest, crudest, least refined four-cylinder in the automotive business. Can it really be that bad? It is coarse, and there is not a lot going on in the upper RPMs. And it's not what we would consider quick by modern car standards, but in my opinion, it is plenty for the shape and the form factor of this vehicle. Keep in mind, we're some 700 or 800 pounds lighter than the outgoing 200 series. This is more than enough. Now look, I could be slightly biased, partially because I'm an off-road editor, used to driving very slow off-roaders like this V8 Range Rover, and partially because we are at a mile above sea level, but let's set a baseline in my daily driver to see what a typical off-roader I might drive feels like. This is the 2001 Range Rover 321 0 to 60 test. That's the mighty 4.6 liter V8 with nearly 220 horsepower. There's 40 something miles an hour, 60. All right, that's done. Mary, take a look at the GPS results. What do we do?
12 seconds.
12 seconds from 0 to 60. And this is with a V8 powered all aluminum Range Rover, granted one from 2001, but this is kind of typical to how I expect an off-roader to accelerate, rather gingerly, like a snail delivering the mail. So this Toyota Land Cruiser, 326 horsepower, 465 pound-feet of torque. Let's see what that means impromptu 0 to 60 on this 60-mile-an-hour country road in 3, 2, 1. Okay, pretty good launch. You get that electric torque off the line. It dies a little bit up top. It's a little bit coarse, but it's pulling really, really hard. There's 60 miles an hour indicated. 8.45 0 to 60 at a mile above sea level with a couple people in the car. It's not a rocket ship, but this is pretty good. I mean, genuinely driving it around, I don't think the typical person is gonna think this car is slow unless you're used to like modern day EVs. It's plenty adequate, but especially someone like me who's a big off-road enthusiast who's spent his life driving Wranglers and old 5th gen 4Runners and 3rd gen 4Runners and the whole gamut of four-wheel drives. This thing's a genuine rocket ship. It's more than adequate, and that turbocharged power at a mile above sea level combined with that hybridization and everyday driving makes it feel plenty quick. And I know that Jason talked about the vibration in the steering wheel, which is definitely there, but your typical buyer of a Land Cruiser, are they really going to notice? I'm not sure. It's pretty slight, and people aren't, I'm certainly not as skilled at noticing these things as Jason is.
Okay, but don't go too far.
I'm probably tiny.
You're little, you look like one of the posts.
Like a pope? The engine in the GX is a lot more powerful. It's a lot more refined, and it's a better driving experience. But it's also a lot thirstier. According to the EPA, it gets 30% worse fuel economy than this Toyota Land Cruiser. I'm not talking 1 or 2 mpg, I'm talking 6 mpg combined, and 7 mpg in the city.
It's like as far as you just walked.
I just walked 7 miles. So if you care about long-term costs in terms of fuel consumption, the Land Cruiser has a big advantage. And that's before we mention one of the most important aspects of any overlander, and that's fuel range. According to the EPA, this Toyota will go 59 more miles on every tank compared to the Lexus. The Lexus does tow more than the Toyota. We're talking 9,000 pounds compared to 6,000 pounds in maximum configuration, and we have towed extensively in both. The Ike Gauntlet, our 8-mile grade, up 7% at over 10,000 feet above sea level, and they both tow well. Now, even though on paper the Lexus can tow more, I wouldn't recommend it, because what I have found towing with both of these is you run into stability issues. The Lexus does have a slightly beefier rear end. It also has more displacement, but the wheelbase is the stability problem. And when you get over like 6,000 pounds, things start to get a little sketchy with the Lexus. So from a towing standpoint, I'd kind of put them even. They're both plenty happy at about 5,000 or 6,000 pounds. There are other ways the Lexus is just better. For example, the trunk. It doesn't have the battery underneath the floor. It's got more space. It's got the third row as an option. All that's really cool. The Lexus also has a much nicer interior, but you gotta look at the use case. If you are buying a more stripped down Land Cruiser, you want to take it off-road, in my opinion, this interior is an interior I'll be more comfortable getting dirty. There's less precious materials, more hard plastics that'll be easier to wipe down and clean up. The wild thing is, even though the Toyota and the Lexus share platforms and they are essentially the same vehicle from a structure standpoint, there are many other Toyota products that share this basic platform, the TNGA F platform. I'm talking things like the 4Runner and the Tacoma and the Lexus LX. There's 7 in total, which is pretty wild. And one of the things I like about the Land Cruiser version of this compared to like a Tacoma or 4Runner is every Land Cruiser comes standard with a full-time 4-wheel drive system with a proper center diff, not some clutch thing. This is a proper full-time 4-wheel drive system, just like the Lexus. But that is a really nice advantage. If you get sick of going between 2 high and 4 high, you never have to worry about that with this Land Cruiser. I want it to be tiny, because it's no longer top dog, Mary. It's little dog. It's like a pug.
No, down, up, down, way down.
Now, Mr. Doug was right. This Land Cruiser is no longer top dog. I mean, look at it. The point being, though, that the old Land Cruiser was kind of like the Halo car. You know, it was something to strive for. It was the best of the best within the Toyota off-road lineup. But the reality is what they were doing with the 200 series simply wasn't working. Toyota has sold more of these new 250 series Land Cruisers in the US in 1 year than several years of 200 sales combined. I'm talking 2021 and 2020 and 2019 and 2018 and 2017 and 2014. That's right, if you combine sales of 200 series in the US from 2014 to 2021, you still won't have as many Land Cruisers sold as they have sold this new generation. The most Land Cruisers they've ever sold in the 200 series in the US was 2008. They sold about 3,800, and then since then it's about 3,000 a year. But 29,000 in 1 year of the new Land Cruiser, that's pretty mind-blowing. This is the problem with enthusiasts and media like myself. The best car in the world is a brown Cadillac CTS-V wagon with a manual transmission, which Cadillac built for us, hooray! And they sold 500 of them, and that is the Land Cruiser 200 series. It's the ultimate stealth wealth. It is effortless, it is durable, it's long lasting, it has a magical V8, but you guys watching didn't go out and buy enough of them. They only sold roughly 3,000 Land Cruisers every year since 2008. It didn't really go up or down, just 3,000. That is nothing in the automotive industry. If you wanted more of them, you should have bought them. And more of you guys went out and bought the Lexus LX, which is why they continue to build it. And now they have a new over-trail version of the LX, which has 3 locking diffs, front, middle, and rear, which is freaking awesome. So if you do want that big, crazy Land Cruiser experience, you can still get it in the LX over-trail. Now look, Doug, Jason, all those guys, they're way smarter than me. I'm pretty dumb, but I really do like this Toyota Land Cruiser. I think it's the right size, and I think on the base end, it's the right price. Would I buy, or would I have bought the $77,000 fully loaded one like this one? Absolutely not. But at $58,000 starting, I think it's a pretty cool car. I think it's plenty quick enough, it's got plenty of enough space, it tows pretty well, and it's really good off-road, and in my mind, it still is very much very cool.
And it kind of looks like a tater tot, that color at least.
We call this hearing aid beige, Mary. No, I look dumb, Mary. This is not the time. No, Mary. Well, yeah, but that one was a few feet from a cake. Lot lately. I really like lakes.
Lakes.
Woo!
Lately.
Lately. Oh, wow. Shoot. I feel very small here, Mary.
How far are you going?
How far you want to go? Come on.
No, that's good. That's good.
Ready?
Yes.
Ready?
I'm ready.
Oh, you're rolling now.
Yeah.
This is going in the outtake. This is not going into the full video. Ah! Cool, 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 cool. Mike, focus.
Tommy, take a breath. Maybe just one breath. One big one.